in the world of bodybuilding, you got to get with somebody who knows what they're doing, right? This guy, he got me really lean, and I'd never done it before. I was really excited, but I peaked too early.
Michele Green, welcome to the podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to come.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty cool. I met you through Phil.
Yes.
He is such an awesome guy. I really like Phil.
Good boss.
And I'll kind of give you somewhat of an introduction because I was reading over your page, and we'll just kind of go through like a timeline of your life and where you grew up, and how that looked when you were high school. Maybe you're out of high school and getting into higher education, and kind of where you took things from there. So
like, how did this happen?
you look great.
How do you get
You look
here?
great, right? Yeah. So we'll kind of go through that, and then we'll spiel off on kind of talking about some products and kind of what you specialize in, because you know a whole lot more about this. I shouldn't say dieting. I should probably say like eating the way we're supposed to be eating. You know what I mean? It's like they put this word diet on everything. The other day we talked to Phoenix, and I was just like, is it dieting, or are we just supposed to be eating like this?
I hate the word diet. It has such a negative connotation, because then the first thing that someone thinks of is restriction. So yeah, what's a positive way of saying the way that we're supposed to eat to optimize performance, and then put an underline under performance and plug in whatever is important to you? Like, is it performance at work? Is it performance in your relationship? Is it performance in sport? Is it performance at school? How do we eat to optimize performance? That's what I'm passionate about. I'm trying to optimize on every single level, whether that is with my fitness, with my sleep, with my food, spirituality, my relationships. Always trying to be better tomorrow than I was today.
That's right.
Right? So yeah, diet, negative.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because I need to hear that stuff, and I'm sure a lot of people do too, because we get so wrapped up in, I'm on the carnivore diet, I'm on the keto diet, I'm on the whatever. There's a million things out here, the beach body, whatever, and it's like, okay, what's just what we're supposed to be doing and not doing? You know what I mean? Like, because and we're chatting a little bit about it, and but like, what's just viable food that I should be putting into my body? Just starting there, And so I think there's just a lot of confusion, and we'll get more, get into that rabbit hole here. But that's kind of that's been my biggest interest probably in the past year and a half, is just everything that I'm consuming, as a person. So,
And it is personal, because there's literally not one quote unquote diet for everyone. It's impossible because of people's genetic backgrounds, where they live, what they have access to, what their taste buds are craving, what they can metabolically handle, how physically active are they, what are they trying to achieve. All of those variables are going to be taken into consideration to figure out for you personally what you need. I was listening to Peter T. I know you know who that is. Mm-hmm. Love him. And he really summed it up nicely for me. And he said, there's a basic set of nutrients that every human physiology needs. And then based on that human, you need to do your own specific testing, and that's with labs, to see how you're responding to said nutritional protocol. Unfortunately, nobody feels like doing that.
right.
But it's simple enough where, okay, you come see me in the office, we figure out based on your labs, based on your physical activity, based on your goals, all right, what are your calories? What are your macronutrients? What is this gonna look like? You say, okay, I promise I'm gonna do this protocol for 3 months. We've already got your previous labs. We're gonna do a post labs 90 days. Let's see, how did you respond? Did we get what we needed? Or did you accidentally slip into higher LDL and now we're a little concerned? Or, oops, that was a little too much carbohydrate for you. The A1C didn't move. The insulin resistance didn't move. You actually didn't tolerate what we thought, right? Or we overshot the goal, labs are looking great, but you feel like crap, you don't have any energy. We need more carbs. But where? When? What do those carbs need to look like? So that's why the word diet, I don't like it, because it's so individualized. It needs to be individualized. But if you go to somebody and say, give me a diet, well, we got a lot of things we need to talk about. And then if you really want to go down this rabbit hole, if you really want optimization, you got to be willing to go through the testing process.
Yeah.
You got to be disciplined enough to have a clean test. I'm not going to deviate from said protocol. I will say, when it comes to the world of bodybuilding, people who would get ready for these physique shows, for those people that say to their coach, I'm going to get X body fat percentage by this date, they make that commitment. I'm eating this. Here are my 6 little containers. And those people do not deviate.
No.
They are pure tests.
Yeah.
And their friends and their family members will say, well, you're crazy. You're going out to eat with us and you're bringing your own food. And they get a little embarrassed and blah, 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 blah. But they're disciplined. They don't care what anybody else thinks because they're trying to get to X goal.
Right.
And that is the level of discipline that I wish more people had.
Yeah.
To really find out for them personally what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
But then finding someone to work with them who can coach them through that. Because I don't know what's the perfect diet for you, but I have some ideas of where we can start. And I have some ideas of what we would need to change based on what you report back to me. Does the body fat move? Does the inflammation move? Do the labs move? Is your energy where we need it to be? How is your performance in sport? That is what I love talking about at the Phoenix Edge.
Because I think it's crazy because like even at like my primary care doctor, you know, one of the questions they ask is, you know, like they ask about your parents, right? Like, did your parents have high blood pressure? Did your parents have, you know, cancers or whatever, right? And you're like, you know, like let's take high blood pressure or high cholesterol, for example, right? How would we know that that's hereditary or that's part of the gene pool if they never had a diet or, you know, we're literally pulling from something that is not like it's not like a good resource because we don't know how much, like what the hell were they eating to have high blood pressure? I mean, we know all this stuff now and, you know, but back then they didn't know that. And it's like, but how are you going to say that high blood pressure runs in my family when they weren't eating correctly? You know what I mean? Like, so how is that hereditary?
When you think about it, when you're an adult and you think about your parents, how old are your parents? They're like 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
And just from the natural progression of aging, high blood pressure is what is basically going to happen to pretty much everybody.
Right.
Just because of how the vascular system changes. It becomes less compliant. You know,
Correct.
we're talking about hormones. You know, with the loss of your sex hormones, those vessels, they become less compliant.
Right.
So 50 and above, this is why a lot of folks, they struggle with heart disease because you put a lot of pressure on a closed system that's no longer flexible. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Aneurysms, heart attacks, things of that nature. But going back to your point, if you ask me and I'm 40, 50 years old, did my parents have high blood pressure? And I think about them now or, you know, a little bit ago, of course, because of where they're at in their aging process.
Okay. That's a good point. Yeah.
So I don't think that's a good question. So I agree with you on that. When it comes to high cholesterol, okay, but what's high cholesterol now?
Right.
Right? Like there's the whole debate on that. Like, is LDL the bad guy or is it just triglycerides?
Right.
But if your HDL is good enough, then we don't really care about those big fluffy LDL molecules.
Because doesn't that have an effect on testosterone?
It can. Yes.
Right. So, you know, having a little bit higher of cholesterol isn't really necessarily a bad thing because I don't know what people's charts are coming in there, but every single person that I've set up to Phoenix Edge, which has been quite a few, we all talk about stuff, right? And they're nice enough to share information with me. And it seems like every one of them has high cholesterol. So I'm like, what is that? Is that just the American diet? Is it a bad thing? Because I'll tell you, go ahead and get on some freaking cholesterol medication. Yeah, it lowers your cholesterol, but there's a list of other things that can go wrong. You know what I mean? Your libido, that's out the door.
Oh, hello, joint pain.
Joint pain. I mean, thinking, fogginess, vision.
Nobody likes
and
a
I'm
statin.
like, wait a minute. Right.
Nobody likes a statin.
And it's just like, right. So that's wild to me. That is freaking wild.
And okay, let's go to your point about cholesterol. Okay, so my LDL numbers come back high, but my good cholesterol is over 60. My triglycerides are under 70, which is optimal in the world of functional medicine. I have no metabolic disease. I'm cardiovascularly fit. You're going to give me shit about my LDL being high? No. That doesn't make any sense. You have to look at all the markers. You have to look at the individual themselves.
Right. I guess that's kind of where my point was going is like primary care doctors we know that they are, it's not a preventative medicine. It's reactive medicine.
Extremely.
So, when you go and see your primary care doctor, they're like, you have high cholesterol. We got to put you on blood pressure or cholesterol medication. I'm like, and this is where I opened my eyes when I came to see you guys, and I joke about this on a couple podcasts ago, and I'm like, literally when I sat down in there, they were like, you guys could about pinpoint how much cheese I ate. You know what I mean? And I was like, holy shit, they're right. You didn't even have to like say anything, and I'm making this up, but we talked about a lot of other things, and I'm like, damn. It's like you were living in my house and had a camera on me. You know what I mean? But it's right. But it's like, you guys actually legitimately go through the entire list of everything and you talk about everything. We don't shortchange anything at Phoenix Edge. It's like you guys are digging to find the actual problem with what's going on with you.
Absolutely, because we want you to understand.
Yeah.
Because if I can get you to understand what's going on for you physiologically, and then I show you a solution, because there's always a solution.
Right.
Now, you've obviously come to us, you've paid the cash to be seen. That tells me you're motivated for behavior change. So here's the issue, here's the solution, now here's the action plan, let's implement. But you're not gonna have time to do that in primary care. And that's and I'm sure you guys have talked about that a million zillion times.
Millions of millions.
In 15 minutes, I can't change your life.
Right, no.
But they can write a bunch of scripts in 15 minutes.
Yeah, they can, yeah.
And I've got some friends who are nurse practitioners and PAs in primary care, and they're not happy either. They don't want to be doing medicine the way that this is not what they signed up for, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's a huge reason why I'm so happy I'm at where I'm at, because that's not we are not bound to health insurance.
No.
We're not bound by a schedule. You pay for the hour. You're going to get the hour. Sometimes you're going to get a little bit more. However long it takes for us to get through those labs, however long it takes to come up with the action plan. And if we got to talk over and over and over again, it's okay. You're not a pain in the butt. It's not going to stress anybody out. Like, this is what it takes to get the message across.
Yeah.
Again, behavior change. When Phil opened up this business, he wanted to make people feel good.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do. We want to educate people on, hey, this is the state of your physiology. A lot of it could be your lifestyle. It could also be a combination of your lifestyle and just the natural progression of aging. But here are the solutions.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool is, and I get really passionate about this when it comes to helping people with the aging process. You hit 40 years of age and suddenly you're like, ugh, I don't feel so good. And so many people settle for that. They settle for less energy. They settle for joint pain. They settle for the brain fog. They settle for the low libido. They settle for, slipping into unhealthy habits, because most of the time they're surrounded by people who are exactly like them. There's no sphere of influence
Right.
to show them, hey, this actually isn't normal aging. You're accelerating your decline.
Right.
And so what I'm so excited about, what we do is we say, let's stop it. Let's try to reverse it. Let's make you biologically younger. And this is how we can do it with food, with hormone balance, supplementation, lifestyle change, all those things. You just got to be willing to do it. Sometimes it's hard. It's hard because sometimes it's a lot. But the value of it on the other side,
Yeah.
it's like when I close my eyes, I don't remember how old I am. And that is my goal. I don't want to remember how old I am. I'm 46 years old. That sounds weird. But I feel 27 when I'm out and about in places and, you see a sea of people and you're like, who do I resonate with? I feel like I resonate with people who are like in their 20s and 30s because their energy matches my energy.
That's crazy.
I don't have a lot of people in my life who were mid 40s and above who are physically active, who are energetic, who are still trying to strive to achieve things.
Yeah.
They're tired
Yeah.
and their world has become very small.
Yeah.
The excitement of life for them has gone away, greatly diminished.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way.
No.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
I got off on a tangent. I
No,
apologize.
no, don't. Please do that.
That happens sometimes.
I agree with you. I mean, I like, and most of the people that are in my friend circle, I don't know, they kind of get on me a little bit, but I'll hear them say something like, have you seen Phil? Have you been to Phoenix Edge? They're like, what's that? And I'm like, oh. So then I go down the hole of, and really, I mean, and it's a lot of guys my age right here at this 40 marker, and, I actually just had a buddy who went up there, tested because he thought he might have low testosterone. He sends me a screenshot. It's at a 950 naturally.
Wow.
And Phil was like, dude, I think we need to retest you.
You're
but,
an anomaly.
But it's cool that, these guys are kind of taking it seriously, because again, I try to be, I'm not a specimen yet. I'm going to get there. But, I want to be an influence in some sort of way around my friend circle. You know
Absolutely,
what I'm saying? Because
yes.
I want to, I don't think it's, I see guys that, Gary Brecka, Joe Rogan, all these other guys that talk a lot about this kind of stuff. It's like, look how happy they are. Like, and look at how good they look. You know what I mean?
Yes. They have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And they're
doing all kinds of things. And
Yes.
it's like, that's what I want to be doing.
You want, you only get one shot at this life.
Yeah, man.
And
Yep.
you want so badly to be able to get as much out of it as you can, but you're not going to get anything out of it if you're tired or if your body hurts.
Right.
Or if you can't get the neurons to fire in the brain because you got the brain fog going on. But it's hormones.
Absolutely.
It's what you're putting in your body. It's stress. It's sleep. It's the relationships that they're having with other people. I mean, it's all of that. The sphere of wellness.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Well, I mean, it's not like you're going to get on TRT and then everything's going to be better. I mean, there's a million other things that you have to do, and I'm very open about, what I take or what I'm doing, and some people don't, but, I just think that we're on the cutting edge of something that society is getting ready to kind of turn with. Because I don't think, this wasn't like this when I was growing up, like in the early 2000s in high school and coming out. I mean, it was there, but it's not like it is now. I mean, obviously because of information. I mean, if you want to find anything out, you just go to YouTube. I mean, and then you can pull it right up. And you got to be careful on some of the stuff. But
RFK, the man looks incredible. I mean,
74?
he's on TRT.
Yeah. He's been on it for a long time.
Look at what he's accomplishing.
100 pull-ups. He can do 100 pull-ups.
It's amazing.
Yeah. going down, and this is where I'm getting all my seed oil stuff that he's been barking about for years, you know, and now we're talking about getting rid of red dyes and the yellow sixes and whatever, you know.
I'm excited.
Oh, it's great. I mean, In-N-Out Burger just put a thing out. They're getting rid of the pink lemonade. They're getting rid of their strawberry milkshake. Anything with red in it, gone.
Wow.
Out the door. I was like, let's go. At least that.
Yes.
I wish they'd go back to beef tallow, French fries, though. I mean, I know Steak and Shake, they just switched it to beef tallow fries. So
Nice.
let's go.
You know, they're
so
like-
we're making small changes.
They're like, how can we separate ourselves from the pack?
Yeah, you have to. Well, I think Steak and Shake was on its way out. So they were like, we sell beef tallow fries now. And everybody's starting to go. So I don't know. But so let's back up a little bit. So where did you grow up and how'd that look when you were a kid? Are you from around here?
This is the Greensboro. So I'm actually from Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
So my family is from the South. And I grew up basically in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
And depending on who I'm hanging out with will determine my accent. Here's what I mean by that. My stepfather was from Chicago, so I spent some time in Chicago. And as a younger person, so like in my 20s, I just kind of lived a little bit of here and there, right? You know, a little bit in D.C. And my husband is from New Jersey. And so people will say I don't sound like I'm from the South all the time. But if you get me around my Southern family, then it all comes out.
Right.
But hanging out with my husband, the accent gets a little bit more neutral.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm excited that you asked me that question because my whole life has been about exercise.
Really?
Absolutely. When I was 12 years old, you know, when you're 12 and you're a girl and everybody around you is developing, some people are going to develop and they're going to be very thin with long lines. And some of us are short. We're close to the earth. And so we may be a little stumpy, right? And so you will try to put yourself through a weight loss journey. And so when I was 12, my dad was a runner. And one day he was like, why don't you just come with me? And I was like, okay. So for the first time in my life, I ran 6 miles. Couldn't walk for 3 days after that. But I was like, I'm going to be like my dad. Because he says that running will make you a winner. He's like, running will make you a winner, Shelly. Running will make you a winner. And I was like, okay. So when I was living with my mom up in Chicago, that was me visiting my dad, I would get up in the mornings. So I'm like in middle school. And I would get up and I'd go run. Because my dad told me that would make me a winner. And I was a cheerleader. And then we moved back to North Carolina. My stepdad's company, Nortel, moves us back to North Carolina. So now I'm in high school, and I'm a girl who can't throw. I can't catch. So I'm that chick that does like individual sports.
Gotcha.
So I'm like a cross-country person. I'm a swimmer. I'm a track person. But I'm not fast. So I'm not really good at any of it, right? And you're looking for something to like build some self-esteem. So I'm 17, and I'm a little thick because I didn't know any better, right? I'm working at like the Pizza Inn, and I'm eating pizza and drinking sweet tea because I didn't know any better, right? I don't understand why I was thick. And so I'm 17, and I was like, Mom, I think I want to join the Gold's Gym. But I wasn't old enough to join. So she had to sign a document to say that I had permission to go. So like every day after school in high school, at a junior, senior year, I would go to the Gold's Gym, and at 3 o'clock, that's when all the bodybuilders show up.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to be funny and say, this is also when all the strippers show up. And all the people that work in clubs show up. So I kind of got to know a lot of people at a young age.
Gotcha.
Didn't lead me to greatness, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But they took me under their wing, and they taught me how to train.
Oh.
And I lost a bunch of inches, and I got in great shape, and I got addicted to weight training. And I was like, this changed my life, changed my physique, and it gave me confidence, gave me something I didn't have, right? And so I really wanted to give that back to other people. And so my life has been all about exercise ever since then. I've never stopped weight training. I've explored different avenues. When I was in college getting my exercise science degree, I did CrossFit. So I was on that train for a little while. When I was getting ready to go to graduate school. I got with a bodybuilding coach. That didn't go well.
Oh boy.
Yeah. That was one of those things where, in the world of bodybuilding, you got to get with somebody who knows what they're doing, right?
That's right.
And this guy, he got me really lean, and I'd never done it before. I was really excited. I'd never done it before, but I peaked too early, and I crashed. I was 3 weeks out from my show, and I crashed. And
What do you mean by that?
So you have to time it just right.
Right.
So I peaked so early that I was so lean that my energy just fell out the bottom, and I just totally crashed. And I was at a nightclub, and I'm like hanging out with my girlfriends, like just trying to feel better. And I'm so exhausted because I'm like undernutritioned, right? But I'm lean, and I'm the most beautiful I've ever been in my life, but I felt horrible.
Oh.
So I'm like sitting at the bar with my head on the table, and this beautiful woman comes over, and she was like my age now, right? So she's probably in her mid 40s. Back then I was like younger. And she comes and she puts her arm on me and she goes, "Honey, you look like you're getting ready for a show." And I was like, picked my head up off the bar, and I was like, "Yeah, it's in 3 weeks." And she goes, "You've peaked too early.
Oh.
You need to eat." And she goes, "Come with me." So I grab my girlfriend and I go to this woman. I've never met her before, but she's kind. And I'm like, we're going to go to these strangers' house because she is a judge in the bodybuilding world, and she's told me I've peaked too early, and she knows what to do for me. So we go over to this woman's house, her and her boyfriend, and she's like feeding me peanut butter, just trying to get me to like pull back up. And I felt like I was really cheating myself and my coach by eating this peanut butter, even though I needed it. But like I felt like I was betraying him and me, and so it really messed me up.
Yeah.
I never recovered from that.
Really?
I never made it to the show, and I struggled with an eating disorder after that.
Really?
Because once you get that lean and you see yourself in the mirror, you equate yourself, well, at least I did, because so if you have any self-worth issues, being in that world, it's not healthy. And that was me.
Right.
And so I saw myself super, super lean, like shredded. And I thought that was the best version of me. And so as I was putting weight back on, even though it was healthy weight, it really messed with my emotions, and it created an eating disorder.
Wow.
And so that eating disorder was the whole, I'm going to binge on food, and then I'm going to exercise bulimia. So I'm going to eat for 2 hours until I can't, and then I'm going to cry and feel guilty about it. And then the next day, I'm going to like exercise for hours and hours and hours to undo it.
Wow.
And this went on for years. And I was personal training. And you know how hard it is to like be a personal trainer and like try to be the example when you're struggling with your own body image issues, and you're trying to be like a positive light for other people. Like that was hard. That was hard.
Yeah.
That was hard. And
Jesus.
so that to say, I'm glad I had that experience, because I know what it's like to walk around in life super lean and everybody thinks you're beautiful and hot. And I know what it looks like to be 30 pounds overweight, because I blew up, and to struggle with how people treat you then and how you feel about yourself because you were so disciplined and you're so mad at yourself that you can't get back to that. And so I'm so glad I had that experience.
Yeah.
Because when I'm health coaching other people, they may look at me and go, "Well, you look great. What do you know about being overweight?" "Oh, honey, I know some things about being overweight.
Yeah.
I know some things about eating disorders. I know some things about guilt cycles. I know some things about shame. I know all about that. And I hear you and I understand. And there's help and there's hope."
Yeah. Especially for women.
Oh my God,
It's
yes.
it's a lot nowadays, especially, like, you know, we're all trying to compare to the Kim Kardashians or, you know, and it's like,
unrealistic.
you got to knock that shit off.
Yes.
That's not real.
Right.
You know, most of what we think in our head is not. Naturally, as humans, we're negative people. Naturally.
Absolutely.
That's where we go. I don't know where that comes from, but I feel like, you know, call it the devil, call it whatever. But like that shit it's not real. It's fake. It's totally fake. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing to you.
Yes. That is,
You know, make
they
you
are all
feel
paid
like
for.
you exactly. You know. Now, I don't think there's a problem every once in a while checking in with yourself, being like, maybe I do need to lose 5 pounds, or yeah, they look good. Maybe let's train to get like that. That's okay. When this false advertisement, this fake news, this stuff that they put out there nowadays, especially for women, younger kid, you know, these kids in high school and things like that. It's like, that's not real, man. You know,
It's not.
like, it's not. So,
You gotta find some self-love. It may take some time.
oh, and
but it will.
it's not easy to find that, you know, because when you're in that dark hole and you're 9 miles in, you got to come 9 miles out.
And it'll feel like
Hell coming out of it. I mean, it's like coming out of a drug addiction that I did drugs for a lot of years, you know, and it was so hard to kick. I never wanted to be doing it, but I had to do it. The only way I could get up in the morning and function is I had to have it. And you go so long with doing that, you have to come out of that, you know, that fight. And it's hard. You know, it's very hard. It was one of the hardest fights of my life, almost 10 years ago. I mean, and there's podcasts online that even war veterans are like, man, I've been to war. Coming off of the drug addiction was the hardest thing I'd ever done, period. And it's just crazy
and
that
it's never going away.
no, I have to live with it the rest of my life.
It's,
You know,
the addiction voice, whatever that addiction is.
oh yeah, I'm a
it's
complete
always
addict.
there.
Like absolutely, you know, like I'm totally admit I'm an addict, and not just I'm not on drugs now, but I'm an addict in a lot of things that I do. I can overdo anything, working out, sleep. I mean, I'll get this thing in my mind that I'm going to be Arnold by Friday, and I will work out 2 times a day, 5 days, and then by the end of it, I'm completely burned out and back to where I was in the beginning. You know, like it's just a psychological thing that I
Yes.
have to continue to keep working on the rest of my life, you know?
It's finding that balance.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's a hard place to be, you know?
I'm the same person. I'm an extreme person. I'm like,
Yeah.
if we're doing it, we're doing it all.
Right.
So I got my degree in exercise science.
Where'd you go to school at?
UNC Charlotte.
UNC Charlotte. Is that so you were in Raleigh,
And yep.
but
so,
they have a campus?
Yep. So I went to
Okay.
college at UNC Charlotte. I got my exercise science degree because I wanted to be an amazing personal trainer.
Yeah.
And when I was there, I learned that they had a master's program called clinical exercise physiology. So now we're getting into medical fitness. And so that was a great way for me to leave the world of, hey, we're exercising to look a certain way. For me, I wanted to take it to a level where the goal of movement was for reversing disease, fighting disease, longevity, and that's what that degree did for me. So that was not only an opportunity for me to heal from my own wounds, but to take my knowledge to the next level. And that was the best decision I ever made. Clinical exercise physiology. That was 2012. And that was when we thought that clinical exercise physiologists were going to get covered by insurance. But unfortunately, we didn't, because the physical therapy people have a lot more money than the clinical exercise physiology people. So because even though we were registered, because we were never allowed to get medical licenses, we were never covered by insurance. So on the other side of graduate school, finding a job that paid well was really hard. But clinical exercise physiology, this is what we do. We're the people who you come to and we do a movement assessment. So we're kind of like physical therapists. We look at your labs. We look at your medications. We look at your disease processes. We look at where you're at in the aging process. And we tailor for you movement that is going to fix what's ever going on for you and help you along the way to live a higher quality of life. And that shaped my adult life. Now, again, remember, I was not able to get covered by insurance. So coming out of graduate school, I got into like managing fitness facilities. The best time of my life was when I actually went back to Durham after graduate school, and I was a manager of this women's fitness studio. And it was amazing because it was like watered down CrossFit for women. And we did nutrition, and what was missing for us was hormones. Because in graduate school, I learned about hormones.
Yeah.
And so as a manager and you're trying to create business relationships, I was trying to find who could we partner with to get these ladies some hormones. At the time, I'm 32.
Right.
All right, now let's fast forward. I leave. I meet my husband. I'm in Greensboro. And I'm like, I got to get my butt back in school because I'm just not making enough money. Right? And so I'm like 39, 40 years old, and I'm tired of personal training because it's wearing me out, right? It's hard on your body when you do it full time and you're trying to maintain your own fitness. So I was like, I got to get this brain making money for me again. And that's when I got a job. Can I say where I worked? Is that okay?
Of course.
Okay. So this is where I met Phil.
Okay.
We were working at Blue Sky.
Oh, okay.
So now
where's that? That's another
horn. That's like our competitor here in the triad. So I'm there as a health coach, and I meet Phil, and we hit it off right away. And so I was excited because I was able to take everything I learned about movement, about labs, about physiology, about aging, about medications, about food, and deliver it in a setting where I wasn't personal training anyone. I could just kind of lay it out for you, and then your job is to go implement it, right?
Right.
And so I finally got the missing piece, which was the hormone piece. And so in my mind, I'm like, this is a perfect fit because people are aging. We need balanced hormones. It's what's going to help us age well and fight these diseases. Well, we all know how that turned out. One day, Phil and I looked at each other and we're like, we could do this better.
That's good.
Boom, the Phoenix Edge. So I've been trying to manifest this experience of movement, food, hormones, supplements. When I say supplements, I'm going to say supplements in the form of things like peptides. Right? Like other therapies outside of testosterone.
Right.
That right there is like the perfect health and wellness space.
Yeah.
So in my fantasy, because I think I'm getting really good at manifesting, I manifested meeting Phil, and I manifested meeting my husband.
Build a church in the back of the building.
we need a space that's got a gym attached to it.
That would be cool.
Yes.
I heard something's in the works.
God,
but
that would be perfect.
But I don't know. I don't know if that's happening.
Because it would be so nice to bring somebody in and say, yes, your hormones are off. Let's get those fixed. Let's get the joint pain away. But let's get you moving. And because if I can get you moving a little bit and you're not feeling intimidated about actually moving and the hormones kick in, and then because of the hormones, you've got some energy and you've got some mental, emotional bandwidth, so now it's not so scary to take on eating a little bit more clean, then over time, those changes are going to build up, and then you're going to get some real momentum. Then real change is going to happen for you. But it has to be all of it.
I can just imagine sitting inside of your office. I think you changed offices. I don't know. And there just being this wall of like all the different foods and things that you would recommend, and just because you have that in there. That was the first time I met you. Mm-hmm. You were like, try this. You were like, oh, hey, these, these, and it's just like, that's cool. People need to know that though.
Right.
This is actually what I feel like is a big deal, right? Because it's real difficult and super confusing when you go to the store and you're looking for healthy things to eat. And then people get, they find their 5 or 6 things and then they get bored with it and then they cheat or move on or whatever, and it's like, that's what I enjoyed meeting with you, is that I found, and then I you planted the seed, and then I started going and finding my own stuff.
I love
and looking
that.
at the back of labels.
Yes.
and in Costco, I love Costco, and I
Yes.
love buying. They're actually starting to have more quality stuff, that's actually grass-fed meat. I don't know if you guys do a lot of eating meat or whatever, but they even have grass-fed meat there, finished all the meat comes from right here in the United States. They didn't have that 6-8 months ago.
Yeah, my husband gets grass-fed beef
From Costco?
Yes.
Yeah, and they just started having it. They had some stuff there, and they had some like buffalo, but they literally, it's in a green label. I have some
Yes.
in that fridge
So
right
my
now.
husband gets
But
it every week.
that just showed up like 6 months ago. I'd been checking, and I'm like, okay, cool. So we're starting to see a little bit of a shift in because before you never were able to buy grass-fed beef sticks. This stuff's not that old. Like, company hasn't been around. Maybe it has been. I don't know. Maybe they changed the name or something. But like, you never used to get this kind of stuff 5 years ago.
That doesn't have a bunch of crap in it.
No.
Yeah, and what's really cool about Costco, thank you, Costco. So
Right.
I love listening to Dr. Mark Hyman, and he even has like, this is what you need to get at Costco.
Yes.
He's not doing that for any other store.
No.
He's not getting paid by Costco.
Yeah.
He's giving props to Costco. So when
Yeah.
people come into my office and I go, do you have a Costco membership? And they say yes, I'm like, boom, this is going to be so easy for you. You got
So easy.
everything you need
Yeah.
right there.
Fairlife, the Fairlife protein shakes that we get.
Delicious.
Delicious, 30 grams, super low sugar, super low carbs. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you probably eat this all day, but like to, implement for a snack in the afternoon or
Right.
however you're laid out, your daily meals are laid out. But man, I went in. I mean, we hit Costco. Taylor hates it, but I hit Costco like once a week. Like,
got to.
because I mean, it's like just become part of. But again, that's like, I'm afraid to go to other places. Like, man, when I go to if I have to go to Food Line, I struggle there. Now I struggle there because I don't know what the hell to get. Like, there's nothing there. Of course, I like my cheese, so I get some cheese there. Right. I might hit the veggie aisle, but even then, I'm like, the organic section's this big.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like the meat, like they do sell a little bit of finished stuff, but like there's just not a lot of choices, man. And it's like unfortunately, and again, Sprouts, Whole Foods, we talked a little bit about the comparisons of eating healthy, that, there's this big myth that, eating healthy is expensive, right?
Right.
I've broken down some stuff personally, and it's not. It's not.
Well, I'll tell you, what makes food expensive is when you're overeating.
Bingo.
So, all right, I'll just share a little story. I'm going to nursing school, and that means our family's income is going to be slashed because I'm not going to be able to work as much.
Right.
And so my husband and I sat down and we're like, okay, what needs to go? What can we cut? And we were spending, it's just the two of us, we were spending $1,600 a month on food for 2 people. So
That's a lot.
It's all healthy food. So
Yeah.
to the lay person, they're going to go, well, eating healthy is expensive. All right, but here's what we did. We sat down and we're like, okay, my husband's name is Michael. What does Michael need to sustain his personal physiology? He needs X calories, X protein, X carbs, X fat. What does Michele need? Broke that down into meals that solidified the grocery list. I'm like, he needs 200 grams of protein. It's going to come from here, here, and here. Michele needs 150 grams of protein. It needs to come from here, here, and here. This protein powder per gram of protein is cheaper than this, we'll say, chicken over here. So Michelle's going to make the sacrifice, and a lot of her protein's going to come from here to save money on the budget. So we took it that far. We slashed our grocery bill just from not overeating. So we're still eating healthy. We slashed it. It's $1,000.
Yeah, that's nothing.
It's actually no 800. We basically cut it in half.
Wow.
Because, when you go to the grocery store, you're like, I'm going to use your cheese example because I was doing it too. We'd go to Costco and I'd be like, I want feta cheese and I want the part skin mozzarella cheese. So I'm just because I want all these little things to throw in my salad. And now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get the tomatoes that are in the marinade tomatoes. That's $15 a jar. By the way, that's going to last me a week because it's delicious and because I was overeating on it. So just by only eating what I needed, not on a diet, not trying to lose any weight, but like to sustain. So we're talking about maintenance nutrition, right? Maintenance nutrition. What was that? What does it look like from a budget perspective? Boom, we saved half.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So the real question is, you need to figure out what you need to sustain your body. And buying it doesn't mean it has to be expensive. Just don't overbuy. Get only what you need. And places like Restaurant Depot, you can go to Restaurant Depot. This is what we do once every 2 months.
What is that?
Restaurant Depot is over there. I want to say it's by the airport. So if you have a business license, which you do,
Yeah.
right? Our buddies did. You can get a free membership to Restaurant Depot, and you go in there, and it's like everything's in bulk, and it's super cheap.
What?
So
Why have I not heard of this?
my husband, he eats 8 ounces of chicken every day. Okay, that's one of his meals, and so we're able to get every 2 months. We'll spend $100 and get 2 months worth of chicken.
Wow. You guys just freeze them in packs?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So we've got.
Do you guys do a lot of like pre-cooking and then freeze it, or do you?
Yes. So once
Just
every
so
2
it's
months.
like there, you can pop it out, boom, it's done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's gonna get baked in 4 sheet pans. It's gonna get chopped up. It's gonna get measured. It's gonna be put in little containers, and it's gonna be thrown in the freezer. And so, going to Costco, buying in bulk. Prepare what you need for the week.
Right.
It's all about the meal prep. If you can be disciplined enough to only buy what you need,
Yeah.
and go to places where you can get it in bulk, like Costco, Sam's, Restaurant Depot, BJ's, just do a little digging around. The food isn't expensive
No.
when you only eat what you need.
Right. Because if you're eating viable stuff, like, you eat an 8-ounce steak and you have, I don't know, I'll just kind of throw something in there like, a sweet potato or something with it, right? I'm not hungry after eating that.
Because it's real food.
Because it's real food, right. And so, like, in the morning, I usually eat anywhere from 5 to 7 eggs, depending upon if I have, like, maybe some turkey sausage, or I might have some leftover steak I'll chop up, throw in there. I'm not hungry for a hot minute. Like, I might have a snack. If I try to go till about 10 a.m., and I'd say probably I won't even eat lunch. I won't even have like my second meal just because I'm not hungry. And I'm like, I'm just not going to eat because if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat, But I will throw a snack in because I try to get the 200 grams of protein in a day. So I'll throw couple of these sticks in, which is, again, this is, to me, and obviously doing the research, is much more viable than this.
Yes.
Right? Because I'm getting the healthy fats and stuff like that I need, especially if I'm trying to eat a little bit lower carbs, I need to increase the fats, correct?
Right.
And you're pretty big on fiber too, right?
Love some fiber. I think everyone should poop.
Like more fiber in your diet. Are you, because I think the last time we talked when I was in your office, it's been a year or more, but you talked about fiber.
Oh yes. It's one of my favorite things on the planet. It does so many great things. We could go on. That's a whole other podcast. But I'm just going to say this. Here's what you never want to do. You never want to starve your gut microbes, because your gut microbes, those little guys in your gut, their food is fiber. And when you feed them fiber, their byproduct is something called a short-chain fatty acid. And those short-chain fatty acids, they protect you. They protect your gut lining from pathogens. They protect you from leaky gut. And they also send messages to your brain that you feel full, happy, and amazing. They send messages to your fat cells that, hey, we're full down here, and so are you. So you can actually shrink and release some fatty acids. So you get leaner, you feel more satisfied, you have a healthier gut flora, and so you ability to fight off chronic disease, inflammatory diseases is increased. So going back to our previous conversation, what's the right diet? Any diet, any nutritional protocol that cuts out all the fiber, you are not doing yourself service, no matter what you think, because you cannot starve these guys. Can't do it because they are symbiotic with our physiology. They're there for a reason.
Right.
And when you feed them the fiber, when you feed them plants, they proliferate and they will protect you mentally, body composition wise, inflammation. I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah.
Gut brain axis, it is a thing. Feed these guys, helps with the brain.
Yeah.
So even folks who say, I don't eat vegetables, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? I'm like, well, we gotta get some fiber in you somehow, right? And so I will say to them, okay, AG1 or like a good greens powder, right? There we go. Let's check this guy out, right? So let's see him.
So this Laird Hamilton Superfoods, this is a really good company, and it's about half the cost of what AG1 is. I was on AG1 for about a year, and it's $100 a month. So I was like, well, I need to save a little bit. So there's $61 for a 30-day supply, and I heard, and I've read some other stuff, that this actually has a little bit better ingredients than the AG1. So this might be something to talk to your people about too, and
Yes.
suggest it. It's a really good one. You know, if you want to take that with you so you
I
can
will.
show them, yeah, go ahead. But they're great. He's awesome. He's a Laird Hamilton. He's a surfer out of Hawaii. He's been a professional surfer his whole life. They're really big. They've got like red greens. They've got those. They've got all kinds. They've got like mushroom packs, and I think for the most part, there's not much BS in there at all.
Right.
So check it out. Check them out. I'm really big supporters of them. I only get the greens. I've had like the like coffee mushrooms and things like that they have in there and stuff like that too. Like, I don't know, it's got like maybe lion's mane or some other natural stuff in there, but they've got a ton of really good products online. They're very reasonably priced. So
Think
check
about
them.
this.
Yeah.
All right. So folks that say, I'm only going to eat protein,
Right.
right? I'm only going to eat protein. If you're a man, you're going to need at least 35 grams of fiber. So you could literally get away with 7 of these a day because there's 5 grams of fiber in here.
Yeah.
So that's how you can kind of get around that.
Yeah.
So this is good stuff right here.
Yeah.
Or, there's just some people, they just don't eat, they just don't like vegetables. Right?
Yeah,
So
and that's
something like this is key.
That's probably more me, and that's why I usually do a big scoop, like, sometime in the morning or afternoon or whatever. I just try to get it in during the day, at least one scoop. And I've got a big jar in the house. I don't really measure it too. I probably should, but I took a big heaping scoop, throw it in there, and get after it.
You can't overdo this.
No,
So it's okay.
No, but
More is more.
I've felt like it's helped me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I try everything I can do, but
Well, especially with the mushroom blend, right? Mushrooms.
is
they're
there some in it?
amazing.
I didn't even look.
Oh yeah, there's six functional mushroom
Okay,
varieties.
yep. So yeah. So he's got a whole bunch of different really cool products on there and stuff like that. But I don't know, something to try. I mean,
Yeah. Can't wait.
but yeah. So go back to, so you get out of school. You guys you branch off from Blue Sky, and you guys are now. Where were you at prior to your location? Now, weren't you like on Battleground or something, or no? Someone?
No, actually, when we first opened up, we were super, super small. We were so tiny that our first little office was when you go to like an office rental space.
Oh, okay.
And so Phil rented 3 little rooms that were adjacent to each other.
Okay.
And so one was where you would get your labs drawn
Oh.
and make appointments. And then Phil had a room and I had a room. So we were 3 little baby offices. That lasted, the only reason it lasted 6 months is because that is what the contract was. But like we grew out of that so quickly that we were bringing in so many people that the people who were running the quote unquote front desk, it was too much for them because so many people were coming through. They weren't used to that much traffic. Like we blew up that fast. And that's why we had to get an office. And I love where we're at, but we've greatly outgrown this office.
Yeah, I was there on a Tuesday morning about a month ago. And holy smokes. You guys were, it was like a freaking line.
I wish I made the joke when I was at the office the other day. I was like, you know what? When we open our next office, we're just gonna have like drive-through shots. You know, like pull up,
put your arm in,
exactly.
No, put your butt cheek out the window.
Exactly. I mean, that's how it's got to be.
I mean, it's crazy.
Next appointment set up. Okay, perfect. Next, right?
Yeah, but people are, you know, it's cool to see these people are really taking themselves seriously and doing it. You know, so it's like
it's a happy place.
Oh, it's very happy
nobody's
place.
Sad
you guys are dialed
at the hormone clinic.
No,
right? Like people coming in and they're like, I feel great.
Probably after their first visit, probably the first visit is the sad visit, and then after that, it's like, okay, now we're rocking and rolling.
There might be 2 sad visits. Like visit number 1 might be like, I don't feel good. I really want some help, and we're like, we can help you. And then maybe not every, you know, when you start treatment, we always check in about 4 to 6 weeks, and you know, sometimes you need a little bit more at visit number 2. So you may not be feeling all the amazingness that you were hoping for, and you may be feeling a little disenchanted, but we just say, hey, you know, you got to have a little patience because we don't know how fast you're going to burn through the medicine. And also, if you are a person who is showing up unhealthy, if you have metabolic disease, if you have, like for a man, like a really high estrogen because you have a lot of body fat, you're not going to feel that testosterone.
Right.
And so that's a big reason why we coach on nutrition, we coach on lifestyle change, is because we want you to get your money's worth out of the treatment. That's what we want.
Right.
We want you to feel so awesome on this medicine that you are able to do all the things that are on your to-do list with ease and joy. But it's going to be hard if you're fighting a lot of metabolic disease. The testosterone can only do so much. Right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's not just, it's one little part of a bigger picture. Because it's, you know, I'm not, you know, I fell off. This year's been a much better start, I would say. I don't really like, I start something on January 1. I just continue to keep going type guy. But, you know, like I look back to last year and it's like, I mean, this is a year and a half later. So testament to, you're not going to just get it right out of the gate. You know, like I've had to do a lot of trial and error over the last year and a half to kind of start getting to where I'm wanting to go. You know what I mean? And I'm like hard-headed, so sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to learn my lessons. But
change is hard.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I mean, but now it's actually fun. It's enjoyable to, you know, be able to go and look at products and things like that. And I'm like, I pick it up, and I've been on the seed oil kick lately. I'm like, no, we're not doing. And I'm not saying I'm not gonna, you know, I'm gonna go out with my family, have a nice big salad with some steak on top of it, and I might have a couple onion rings. I'm not gonna.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whatever.
You can't be
call
a purist.
Right. You call it a treat meal, not a cheat meal. So
exactly. And we can even take it one step further. Like we could say, hey, you know what? You've been physically active all week. You've been following your nutritional protocol. Maybe you need that recovery meal.
Right.
That's a positive connotation.
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
Feeling a little low. You know, I've been in calorie restriction for a little while, been pushing hard at the gym. I deserve a little recovery.
Right.
Right. So I like using that word a lot too.
Yeah. Well, and that's good because it can get to you sometimes, I guess. And
because I don't want anyone to think that they're cheating. You're not cheating, right?
No.
If you've been good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to mix it up a little bit. There's a great rule. It's called the 90-10. It's a great rule to live by. If 90% of the time you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, that gives you that wiggle room to live your life that 10%.
Yeah.
To enjoy a fabulous cocktail, to try a new restaurant or a cuisine or celebrate with your family. Like nobody likes the experience of it's my anniversary and I'm counting my macros.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, right. I'm going on a cruise. Been waiting all year to go, but I'm not going to participate in, you know, eating around the Caribbean, you know, like even though you paid for it, right? I'm not saying you need to go crazy, but like come on, live a little.
Right,
But
yeah.
you got to earn it.
For sure.
And here's another rule that we'll talk about. And it's once you're done with transforming, people struggle with maintaining it because everyone's always in weight loss mode, weight loss mode, weight loss mode.
Right.
They don't know what it feels like to maintain. They're scared to give themselves permission to eat a little bit more, even though they absolutely need it. And it will transfer to more powerful workouts anyways. Powerful workouts equals more muscle equals more metabolism equals suck the fat right off you. So
Right.
you want that, right? So I'll tell people, why don't you just do what you've been doing? You're already in your groove. You're already comfortable with it. You know that you could have, one recovery time slot a week. It's about a 2-hour event. See how that goes once a week. If the weight doesn't go up enough where you're feeling like if the weight is, if you're still losing weight, then you actually need two time slots to live your life. Usually about 2 time slots is maintenance. 3 time slots a week, now you're going to start gaining some weight. And so it's just helping people to have the awareness of what does maintenance really look like? It looks like, hey, eat what you've been eating, which is your 90%, because that's
Right.
what got you lean. And then that 10% could be that 1 to 2 recovery meals.
Yeah.
And that's what your maintenance could be like. And now you're having a good time
Right.
because you're not gaining any weight.
Yeah.
You have more energy. You don't feel restricted because once you get lean, you're so nervous about gaining your weight back that you're kind of scared of food. And so this allows you to just kind of take a little bit of a baby step.
Yeah.
Don't change everything. Add 1 recovery meal, see how it goes. And if you can get away with 2, awesome, do it. But be careful with 3. Most of the time, 3 is weight gain.
That's crazy.
But it's a time slot. It's not a whole day.
Right.
It's like 2-hour window.
Right.
To
And
live your life.
and the kind of the trick too is like obviously you're tricking. You want to trick your mind into this, but it's like once your gut biome changes and you're eating the way you've been eating for 6 months, you kind of just enjoy it because that's what you like to eat. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
you're not when you go out to eat these other places, you put it in your body. You're like, man, that fucking feels like shit.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. I'll tell you a story. When Michael and I first met, you're first in love. You're right. You're like, you drink. You have drinks. You have cocktails, and we would always make like fun little treats, right? And we would go nuts on this stuff. So we would like go get a pizza and like really do it up, or like we would just get like trail mix, like like the Costco size trail mix, and we would just like burn right through it, blah blah blah. And then, we were getting kind of thick, right? And we were like, man, we really need to clean it up a little bit. And once we got into like the super regimented life, fast forward, when we say we want a recovery meal, you're right. We're not reaching for the pizza. We're not reaching for the sugary trail mix. It's literally like, ooh, wouldn't it be amazing to get like a bigger portion of like what you would say like the sweet potato and like maybe a bigger portion of like the steak, or we're gonna go to a restaurant where like maybe the sauces are a little bit rich, but it's still like really good food.
Yeah.
We're not doing the junk food.
Right.
We're gonna treat ourselves to like whole food, just more of it. It's not
Right.
the junk food
Yeah.
because you don't crave it anymore.
No, because your gut biome's changed.
It's absolutely true. And that's
Yeah.
going back to the gut. Yeah, you got good gut microbes and you got bad gut microbes. And the bad gut microbes will absolutely trick you into thinking that you want more sugar, sweets, and carbs because that's their food. And they will send signals to your brain to make
Right.
you feel very, very anxious. So part of getting off the sugar is very much like detoxing. You
Yeah.
have to detox off the sugar and the refined carbs to starve those unhealthy gut microbes so that they actually die and stop sending signals to your brain that you want these foods. It takes 2 to 4 weeks.
Right.
And not everybody is mentally strong enough to actually do it. But once they do, they don't ever go back.
Right. Mm-hmm. The carnivore guys talk a lot about that.
It's so true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I haven't got there yet, but we're getting somewhere.
Baby steps.
But like, but like if I'm like hungry in the afternoon, I'll go buy 3 bags of these at Costco until I run out. I'll buy 3 more. But like if I get hungry and I need a snack, I'll put one of these in and then it just disappears. Like I don't have any.
You feel good.
Literally just one. Like I don't,
They're
I'm fine.
so good.
Yeah.
Because you're getting.
But I mean, I'll start getting hungry. I mean, it depends on if I train jiu-jitsu today, so I'm already starting to feel my dinner coming on. I'll have to eat.
Mm-hmm.
But like, throughout the day, like snacking on these, and they're viable. They're like, they've got fat in them. They're healthy. Like it's a good snack to have.
No dairy, no gluten, no sugar.
No.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
And physiologically, let's think about what's happening here. When you chew, the act of chewing literally sends messages to your brain that you feel full. And when you've got something like meat, it's dense. So when it goes and it sits in your belly, it's going to feel more full. The more protein, the more fat that's there, more signals are sent to your brain that you feel full, which is why when people go into weight loss mode, we say, you got to pull the protein up. Because you're looking for those feelings of satisfaction.
Right.
To help you cut the cravings.
Right.
Right. But yeah, something like that, you're getting that mechanical action of the chewing, and then you're getting the neurotransmitter release, or I should say the gut hormone release from the fact that that is a protein and a fat that you're sticking into your gut. Good stuff.
But I heard that the meat, now maybe for me anyways, that it takes a little bit longer to digest.
It does.
It does, okay.
And speaking of that, right? People who take these GLP-1 medications.
What's that?
These are
GLP-1?
Yep.
What's that?
These would be what you know of as like Wegovy,
Yeah.
Zepbound, Mounjaro, GLP.
Ozempic, is that one of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the GLP stands for gastric limiting peptide. So what their job is they just slow down digestion. So for a lot of our patients that utilize these medications, they may not tolerate that because it will sit too long and not feel good on their tummy.
Gotcha.
So they would need a different kind of protein
Gotcha.
for their tummy because it's just going to sit there so long.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's how that works. I'm not real familiar with it. I don't know. I mean, how long? Like, I know people in my family that are on Ozempic, and then part of my other family gives them shit for being on it. And obviously, they don't know the science behind what's going on here. They see a lot of actors and actresses on it. All of a sudden, they're this, and now they're that size, And they obviously talk about Wegovy and that peptide world because it's just a peptide, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's not like, I don't know a lot about it, but can you talk a little bit about that world and just like what it does, maybe how long you should be on it or how long you can be on it and what you possibly should be doing? Because there's just a lot of questions, especially for the ladies that are going in and trying to get that immediate satisfaction of weight loss and things like that, and maybe kind of some of the myths behind it and maybe just how to use it. Because again, it's probably different for everybody, but I think there's a lot of talk online. It's a bit hot topic. So
I'm so glad you asked the question.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast, but here we go. It's,
you don't have to go too crazy, but it's just a kind of a brief synopsis, I guess, on it. But
here's why they get a bad rap. These medications get a bad rap because in clinical trials, the drug manufacturers gave them supraphysiological doses. They overdosed these people so that they could barely eat. That's where the weight loss came from. They lost a ton of muscle. So that's why you see muscle wasting as a side effect. You will see nauseousness. You will see constipation. You will see headaches. Those side effects come from these high doses. The reason why the drug manufacturers had to do that is because they had to get clinical significance in order to get the FDA to pass these drugs for weight loss. Now we're going to back up. When you get these medications from your pharmacy, they come in a pen. You're stuck with that dose. And most of the time, when you get thrown on these medications by a provider, You're not going to get any coaching on them. You're not going to get told the mechanism, how to navigate side effects, and what tolerability really means. And so they'll go and they'll get them from their pharmacy. They'll take this super high dose because that's what their doctor told them to do because that's what was prescribed. They'll feel like crap. They won't eat enough. They won't eat enough protein. They won't exercise. They lose a bunch of muscle. Their skin hangs off their bones. They're sick. They get a bad experience.
Yeah.
They gain all their weight back because they have no metabolism.
Right.
They didn't learn anything.
Right.
Okay. Then you come to us. And then we understand that GLP-1 medications are amazing in very small doses. And I'm going to use the word microdose. I microdose semaglutide. Semaglutide is the active ingredient in what you know of as Wegovy and Ozempic. I take an extremely small dose. It's been around for 20 years or more. It's bioidentical. Your body already makes this. And as you age, just like all of your hormones, they decrease. Their job is to slow down the rate of digestion and to send signals to your brain that you feel full, happy, and amazing. So when you go and you get the compounded version, which means I'm getting it in a vial, I now have the ability to adjust my dose. If I can give you a very small dose of this medicine, and then you tell me, on this very small dose, I do feel like I feel full faster. So I'm able to eat my small appropriate, not starving, but my small appropriate portions with enough calories, enough protein. I'm able to consume the right amount of food. And the food noise is gone. The cravings for the naughty foods, the cravings for the adult beverages, the cravings for nicotine, gone.
Really?
So now it is much easier for me to say no, thank you to food because it doesn't have power over me anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
So now I'm able to actually get consistency in making healthy choices, eating my small appropriate portions of protein and fiber. I'm getting results. I'm now off the sugar dragon. I don't have the nauseousness. I don't have the constipation. I don't have the headaches. I have energy to work out. That's the experience you're supposed to have. These are tools, not crutches.
Right.
Remember, I shared with you earlier, eating disorder never goes away. It's like addiction. And at super small doses of semaglutide, I can tell you that that girl that had binge eating disorder and bulimia, exercise, and classic, where you're putting your finger down your throat, that voice never goes away, and you have control over it, but it never goes away. And small doses of semaglutide, she's gone.
Really?
I do not have any of those propensities. Now, I haven't done any of that behavior in a long time,
Right.
but the thought of it, the emotional turmoil associated with it, it's always there,
Yeah.
but it's not there for me anymore. It's gone.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm a proponent of these medications in small doses, and it's all about, just like hormone replacement, what's your magic dose?
Right.
And they're tools, not crutches. So we
Right.
got to make sure that you're not just coming in and getting a shot and expecting magical things to happen.
That's right.
You got to do the work.
Yep.
Because if you don't eat enough, if you don't eat enough protein, you're going to lose your muscle.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're a good candidate and you're a safe candidate for TRT. That's going to help you preserve your muscle. And hopefully I've taught you enough that you're trying to age well and preserve your musculoskeletal system. So you're going to give me some resistance training 3 or 4 days a week,
Yeah.
which will also fight to hold on to your muscle while you're in transformation. There's a beautiful marriage between hormone replacement at just the right dose, small, perfect dose of a GLP medication, eating enough protein, and giving me 3 days or more of physical activity, hopefully in the form of some kind of resistance training. Just moving your body. Perfect marriage. Muscle mass preserved, metabolism preserved, quadruple the inches lost in real time. You're not sick. Food noise is gone. On the other side of transformation, you may decide, I'm going to cut myself off cold turkey, no problem, because you've been on a small dose the whole time anyways. But some people will decide that they would like to be on a maintenance dose. And a maintenance dose is very tailored. I have some patients, they will do a small baby dose once a week. That's what I do. And there are some patients that they'll just take a dose once every 3 weeks, once every 6 weeks. Their vial, they have access to it. And we say, you'll know if you need another dose because the food noise comes back. The food noise is the cravings. The food noise is when it has power over you, you don't have power over it.
Yeah.
But you're still doing all the right things. So I get real passionate about that medicine because it gets a bad rap, but it's all about the right dose and being taught how to use it appropriately. So all the side effects that you hear about, they're all on supra-physiological doses.
That's what I have read. I've read a lot of that, and you'll hear some of my family members that are on it, and I don't really know like if they're actually appropriately taking it, but there's some that have been this big and now they're this big, and you're like, whoa, and everybody else is like, oh, they're on that damn Ozempic and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and there's probably a lot of truth to it, because especially when you start saying primary care doctor, my freaking the alarm sounds in my head. I'm like, primary care doctor. As soon as you say that, I'm like, what is he saying?
Yeah, what did they say?
Because it's like, I like my primary care doctor, but he's not a nutritionist.
And I'll
by
give you
no means.
a great example. This happens all the time. We'll get patients come through and they'll say, well, I was taking Manjaro, I was taking Wegovy, and I got to XXX dose, and I just wasn't losing any weight. And I'm like, I can tell you why you weren't losing any weight. Because you weren't eating.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Because what happens when you go to a place like a primary care is they'll go, well, I'm not losing any weight. And the first thing they want to do is up your dose. No. Why don't you ask, well, were you eating enough? Or my hair's falling out. Well, honey, it's because you're not eating.
Yeah.
What do you think your hair's made of? It's made of protein. If you're not eating enough protein, what do you think's going to happen? Your hair's going to fall out. Your skin's going to look like crap. Your nails going to be brittle. But no one's talking about food as it relates to taking these medications. They're just like, more medicine equals more results. That's not true.
No.
It's not true.
No.
So I'm hoping all your listeners out there will give these GLP medications a real try if they need it.
Yeah.
You just got to coached on it well.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's just getting the information out there, really, because there's a lot of people that just don't know the information. That was a very good way of explaining that kind of stuff. I didn't know I didn't know that.
Semaglutide is amazing.
I knew it was a peptide.
Yeah, it's great for inflammation.
I've had great experience on peptides, whether it be the only one I didn't care for was the Samorlin, and that's just because I had some crazy dreams.
Peptide
like
dreams.
Really
Are they
bad,
not wild?
horrific, and some of it I didn't really care for.
Sure.
I was like, man, I don't know if I like this, because it was like, it got to the point where I was like, I don't know if I want to go to sleep right now. Like literally, I was like, I'm gonna have another bad dream tonight. It was bad. Like they were really.
I'm so sorry.
But I guess that's one of the side effects. But other than that, I felt fine. But then when I got on Tesamorelin, I was like, whoa, this is a game changer. Tesamorlin's a good one, and I feel great on it. I'm not taking any right now, but that's a really good one to get on.
Yeah, that is.
I didn't slim down a ton. Obviously, it had a lot to do with probably my diet, clearly, but I felt like better sleep. Felt like the joints were real lubed up. I didn't have any joint pain and then my back went out in December. It was horrific, but then I took TB 500 and BBC 157, and 7 days later I was standing up walking around as if it never even happened.
Isn't it amazing?
I was like, what the hell?
Yep.
So like,
I think they call that the Wolverine blend, right?
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. So I'm really big on peptides. I think they're wonderful. I mean, they've worked for me, at least.
Medical science. We're living in a fantastic age. As long as we can continue to get access to them, I feel like it's going to be a game changer for a lot of people who in the second half of life are trying to remain physically active. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of that going on right now in the FDA world, and, getting peptides and things like that, where I don't know obviously it has to do with money. Anything that's good for you, they're going to come after it.
I know. Yeah, they want to monetize it, unfortunately. Yeah, because they learned that BPC 157 is magical, and now they're just trying to make it really hard for people to get their hands on it.
Crazy, man.
It's not fair.
It's unfortunate.
RFK, do something about it.
He's going to. I believe in him. So what is it? I wanted to ask you, what does a day look like for Michele, eating wise and exercising, and how the amount of water you drink? Just run me through kind of your daily routine and how that looks. Because on the last podcast with Phil, he praised you, and he was like, he was like, you know, we all know exactly when Michele is eating because she's like a time clock.
Joke.
So yeah, give us like kind of a breakdown of like how that looks for you during the week and maybe versus like your weekends.
Interestingly enough, I'm kind of boring because they kind of look the same.
Okay.
We'll start with the morning. Mm-hmm. I'm a big believer that if you want to get something done, it's gotta happen in the morning, because the second the day starts, you're now on somebody else's time. So I time it where I'm up at 3:45, and that gives me enough time to get my coffee in me, meal prep for the day, because it takes time for coffee to kick in. It takes 60 minutes to fully experience your caffeine, for it to fully release. And that is my pre-workout. And so I'm using my coffee as my pre-workout. I've maximized that time. I've made my meals for the day. And now I'm gonna go work out about 75 minutes. Of course, I'm drinking water during that time, right? Right now, I'm training with weights about 4 days a week. And then on the off days, I'm doing cardio, mixed cardio, just different modalities. I'm all about mixing up your modalities so that you fight osteoarthritis. But more important, you're training different motor patterns. That's going to keep your cognition sharp. And on the other side of that now is breakfast. So we're looking at about 7:30 a.m. Breakfast is very set, right? So I eat a lot of plant-based protein powder. I don't tolerate the whey as much, even though I understand that the whey is more bioavailable. I just personally prefer the plant-based. I like the texture and I like the way it feels on my tummy. So meal number one is looking at 30 grams of protein from the protein powder. We're gonna have quarter cup of oats. We're gonna have a tablespoon of oat fiber to bump up that fiber. We're gonna throw some dark cocoa powder in it. We're gonna throw a half a cup of blueberries, and we're gonna mix it up, and it turns into this amazing pudding with almond milk. That is meal number one. It's almost like a shake in a solid form.
Sounds good.
It tastes like a brownie. It is amazing. And so now we're going to work. It's about between 9 and 10, depending on what's going on with my patients. Here's meal number two. We're gonna grab some more protein powder, but this time we're gonna pair it with pumpkin. And with that pumpkin, we're gonna put turmeric. And we're gonna put those trilogy seeds, so it's chia.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it's chia, hemp, and I can't remember what the other one is, but it's 3 seeds. So we're gonna put that in there with the pumpkin, with the almond milk, with the protein powder, with the turmeric, mix it up. That's meal number two. So it's like these little mini meals, right? Drinking water. Probably around 11:30-ish, I've got my protein coffee shake.
There you go.
Yes, sir. So here we go. We've got the coffee with the almond milk, because we got to get the coffee in. And we got to get some protein in. So here's some more protein powder. And then I like to pair that with a little veggie tray. I always bring a little veggie tray to work. So like when I'm in between patients, I can just like throw some tomatoes in my mouth or some carrots in my mouth. Like I think that's really important to have on hand when you're getting low. Like if your blood sugar's getting low, boom, throw some cherry tomatoes in your mouth. It'll pull you right back up. Lunch is this huge salad. I mean, it's like this big. It is full of greens. I mean, it's like cabbage, romaine, spring mix, everything's from Costco. It's all chopped up.
Oh,
it's gonna have like a little chicken on it, quarter cup of beans, gonna have some tomatoes on it, some balsamic vinegar, some Italian seasonings. So good.
It's like a core life meal.
Yes, it absolutely. And like people are like, how can you eat all of that? And I'm like, you have no idea what I can put down, right? And then I finally get home. It's about 4 o'clock. And so we go to bed really early. So, you know, between 4 and 5 is dinner. And that's where we're going to have like some kind of protein, some vegetables. And like for me, I understand that my serving of starch as a woman at 46 years old is between like a fourth and a third of a cup. So it's going to be like some kind of mix that looks like that. So I'm eating about 5 times a day. So I make sure I'm getting in like 30 grams of protein at each one of those meal times. For me, most of it's coming from protein powder. Then one of my meals a day is like an egg or like a meat. But the other meals are just protein powder. Number one, because of cost. But number two, because they're very easy to prep those quick little puddings.
Yeah.
Right? Or like a shake or something. Because I need something quick that I can put down in 10 seconds or drink in 10 seconds when I'm in between patients.
Yeah.
So when people think about meal prepping, they get overwhelmed because they think they have to have all these like elaborate meals. It does
Right.
not have to look like that. It
No.
can be very, very, very simple. Like my husband, he's very simple. He eats, we got the big Ninja blender, and in the big Ninja blender is going to be enough oats, enough blueberries, enough protein powder, enough egg whites for 3 shakes. And each of those shakes are going to have 50 grams of carbs and 50 grams of protein. So that's 3 of his meals. And then his breakfast is egg whites and that beef, that grass-fed beef. So he gets 50 grams of protein there. And he does rice and avocado.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, he calls it his egg meal.
Oh, that's great.
And then he's got his bean meal, which
Yeah.
is the 8 ounces of chicken and a cup of beans and rice with like a little bit of like seasoning and sometimes some avocado in that. So he's also gets a big salad as well. But our meals are very, very set.
Yeah.
And they're not fancy. They're not complicated. They're very, very, very simple because who's got time to make all these recipes?
No, I know.
Too much
don't.
drama.
It's too much. Yeah, it's way too much.
Just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Where's your protein coming from? Pair it with the right amount of carbs. Your veggies are unlimited. Call it a day.
That's easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Pair 2 things. I need my protein and I need my fiber. That
Yeah.
fiber is going to come from some kind of little carbohydrate, right?
Yeah.
So if you're, get that perfect little combination, get that protein in and just pair it with that right amount of little carb and then eat all the veggies that you want. Don't count them. Just eat them. I'm a big fan of veggies.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm. I didn't know broccoli. Broccoli is not an original vegetable. It's made. We made it, invented it.
Did we? I did not know that.
No.
Thank you for giving me that new fun fact.
It was. I'm not sure what 2 plants the exact names of them are, but they, whatever the term would be for them. I'm having a brain fart here. But anyways, no, it's not. It's not a potato. It actually came from God. Why can't I think of the damn word? Where they go in and they take 2 plants and put them together and boom, out pops this.
I feel like I'm gonna
Right, like a chihuahua comes from a wolf, so it's essentially a wolf. But yeah, broccoli is not
in
an
my mind,
actual
I'm
like.
like cross pollinate.
There you go. Yeah, like crossbreed.
Yeah, crossbreed.
But it's not a. Yeah, it comes from 2 separate vegetables.
They did a very good job on that one.
Yeah, they did.
I'm a fan of broccoli,
It's a popular one.
especially roasted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We do a lot of roasted stuff too. And then obviously that's awesome. I try to do that a lot. A lot of my stuff is usually the morning of or the night before, and I'll just kind of know what I'm going to have. I usually kind of leave dinner on the table just
Kinda
because.
open.
Yeah. So we have a 6-year-old as of tomorrow morning. And then the wife gets home. So we're kind of like, has she eaten? Have I eaten? He needs to eat. All right, here's what we're going to do. But we always leave it simple. So we don't make dinner like a complicated one. Yeah. We just kind of see we do a lot of bowls. We're a big bowl family. It's usually
I love a bowl.
Meat or, some type of meat, whether it be chicken or ground beef, and then rice, beans, and so forth. So we're throwing a lot. And bowls are simple. They're easy.
Yes.
There's usually a lot to left over for the next day. So
kind of going back to the core life example.
Yeah.
Like if everybody's life was, I walk into my kitchen and here are all my prepped veggies, here are all my prepped starches, here are all my prepped meats, and all I have to do is show up with my bowl and go, I feel like this protein and this veggie and this starch, and boom, done.
Yeah.
Throw a seasoning in it, call it a day.
Yeah.
It literally can be that simple if you actually just spend the time to go, okay, in the fridge, let's just make sure that we always have 2 or 3 different of each of what I just
Yeah.
mentioned, like 2 or 3 starches, 2 or 3 veggies, 2 or 3 meats, and then be creative
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah. You can put ground beef in eggs. It's okay.
It's so delicious.
Ground beef doesn't just go in burgers and tacos.
Right. Ground beef and eggs is amazing.
It's
That's like the
a
most
staple over here.
bioavailable
Oh, it's great.
protein that you can take in your mouth.
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, we eat a lot of it. I mean, I've kind of cut away. I've been doing a lot of ground turkey because I kind of like to mix it up weekly. Like I don't know what it is. I think I'm onto this digestive thing for ground beef. It doesn't or steak in general. It doesn't break down as fast, and I think I'm noticing my body holds on to it a little bit too long. So
You feel like you're not tolerating it as
yeah,
well.
because like if I eat chicken all day, it's gone the next morning and we're gone. I feel fine, it's out and I'm gone. Right, liked. When I start eating too much ground beef or steak, I just feel like, and maybe because I haven't reached the point of like going like full carno, because they say once you get to 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, if you're just straight carnivore, you don't none of that happens because obviously your gut biome has shifted.
Right.
So I don't know if it's just I'm teetering on, because I'm trying to cut right now, so I'm limiting the amount of carbs I'm eating. So
Yes.
I'm just trying to test to see like I feel better on and we eat a lot of turkey.
They're right,
ground
though,
turkey, so.
because if there is some unhealthy gut flora there that is slowing down this rate of digestion for you as it relates to breaking down the meat, then yes, as you kill off those unhealthy gut flora, you're right. Over time, you will be able to tolerate more of those meats,
Right.
theoretically, especially if they're meats that are what you're already purchasing, grass-fed,
Yeah.
not the grain-fed crap that's
Right.
causing atherosclerosis.
That's the word I was looking for. Because you told me one day that. So give me a quick breakdown on grass-fed versus grain-fed.
Right. So a long time ago, remember when the caveman diet came out, right? Or maybe it was when it was either they were calling it caveman or they were calling it Paleolithic eating.
Yeah.
This is when like CrossFit had like just exploded all over the country, so everybody was going paleo. But they, in their reasoning behind the meats that they were choosing, was they were discovering that when the animals that you are consuming are fed grain, their fat inside of us causes atherosclerosis. It's highly inflammatory, so plaque in the arteries. But when the animals were fed grass, the way that they were always supposed to eat, because animals don't in nature find grains, they eat grass. They eat those plants. That the plants, the grass, those are omega-3 fatty acids. So when they eat omega-3 fatty acids, we are eating omega-3 fatty acids. And that in turn raises your good cholesterol, your HDL. But when the animals are eating the grains and they're full of like the harmful omegas, like more omega-6s, more omega-9s, now you're getting an unhealthy ratio and it causes plaque in your arteries. So now we're raising the triglycerides. Now we're raising the VLDL, the bad cholesterol. So that's why when people come to me and they go, I want to go carnivore, I'm like, awesome. You're going to cure any metabolic disease, but please make sure that where you're sourcing your animals, that they are grass-fed, that they're eating the highest quality nutrition, because their nutrition is what's going into your bloodstream.
Right. Through the fat. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly.
So but if you can't afford to get the grass-fed, cut the fat off.
Yes.
Right?
That's the best you can do, right?
I mean,
Right. So like for us, Michael will get the grass-fed beef, but even when he gets that really lean chicken, I mean, he spends the time to like cut off any fat, because that chicken isn't grass-fed.
right.
We can't afford it.
Right.
Not yet. But we will one day.
Yeah. I mean, it is expensive. I mean, some of that chicken's a little up there.
Yeah.
You get a line, you're like, chicken? I don't know. Like,
$12
But
a
that's why
pound.
we eat. That's why I do the ground. That's why I do the ground turkey. I mean, it's just easier. It comes in the form of like ground beef. So I'm like, okay, I can put the same seasoning on it. Not a ton of different change in the flavor.
Right.
You know,
And you're
so
tolerating it better.
and it's less. It doesn't have really any fat. So I'll usually cook it in like olive oil or something. You know, to kind of put some fat into it, I guess. But
Yes. Put
Yeah.
some more omega-3s in there, because that's what
Right.
you're trying to do.
exactly.
Is supplement, right? So if you have to cut the fat off of your animals, then your job is to supplement that fat with some plants,
Right.
right? So the olive oil, the avocado oil, those wonderful plant fats. That's what you're trying to do
Yeah.
if you can.
Because we've cut out, like, I'm on the seed oil thing too. No seed oils.
Yeah, that's tough because everything has a seed oil in it, right?
But I've found that it's not as bad. Like, because like some of the stuff, yeah, you can get a little bit of it, and that's probably not as. But I mean, like, if you're literally cooking in vegetable oil, I see the problem that they're saying that's happening is when it becomes an issue with carcinogenics is when the temperature it's cooked at a super high temperature is when it becomes a problem.
Right.
You know, like, let's use McDonald's again, but you get, you know, they're getting cooked in this fryer, and it's like, well, how often are they changing out that oil?
Right.
You know, you're probably not going to get sick because it's at a super high temperature as far as like food poisoning, but the amount of carcinogenics, plus we don't even know what's kind of vegetable oil they're cooking it in anyways. It's just killing you. Like, it's literally motor oil at that point.
Yes, it is.
You know, I mean, and I'm not saying all of it's bad. I think you're okay, but it's not vegetable oil. Like, it doesn't come from vegetables. See, they take these names, peanut oil, like it comes from peanuts. Knock it off. That's not true. But avocado oil is from avocados, correct?
It's legit.
Olive oils comes from olives. I mean, if you open up a can of olives, there's oil in the olives.
Exactly.
So it's extracted from that. I mean, so I don't know. There's just like a ton of information on it that I'm still kind of learning, going down that rabbit hole and stuff like that. But, you know, that obviously I think it's directly correlated with inflammation and stuff like that is what they're talking
Huge.
about.
But big takeaway is this. We try our best not to eat anything out of a package. Again, 90-10 rule. 90% of our lives, nothing's in a package. And when I say the only thing that's showing up in a package at our house is like the beans come in a can.
Right.
That's literally the only package. The protein powder's coming in a package, right?
Right.
If I'm gonna be a purist about it. But like we're not. I'd say the protein powder is literally the only processed food that we're eating. Everything else is a whole food. So we're able to circumnavigate the whole seed oil issue.
Yeah, you're not even, there's no issue at all.
Exactly. Because with Michael, we can't afford inflammation for him.
No.
It just can't.
No.
It will light him up.
Yeah.
And so the goal is to, feel as good as possible. But again, if we're doing our best to live it and navigate it, then we can speak about it.
Right. And hopefully he can get back to doing some ice baths. I know you said he's looking forward to
He
it.
can't wait.
Yeah. Well, listen, Michelle, I think we'll wrap it up. I appreciate you coming on here. We're busting out over an hour and a half. I know you
Wow.
are you going on a cruise, or y'all are going something? You said you were going somewhere, right?
Going to the beach tomorrow.
Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah.
We deserve it.
Yeah, there you go. You do deserve it. So you guys, you're hardworking people, man. And again, I appreciate everything that you're doing and helping people out. I mean, it's awesome what you guys are doing. I'm super pumped for you guys. I talk about you guys probably more than you know. I'm always bringing you guys up.
Thank you so much.
You know, you guys have really helped me in my life, our life, and you're doing a lot for a lot of other people, and even my jiu-jitsu community, and just in the triad in general. And if there's anything I can do to amplify that, whether it be you guys on the podcast talking about this kind of stuff, I'm totally for it. So
I think your homework is you have to be an ambassador. So your job is to do all the things.
I'm gonna keep trying. That's for damn sure.
There we go. As long as you keep trying, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So, but anyways, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for
Thank you
coming
for
on.
having
And
me. This has been
we'll
awesome.
do it again in the future.
I can't wait.
Awesome. Thank you.